Hello, welcome to Learn to Drive and Thrive with Paul Riley. That's me. This here is a channel that if you are a learner driver, if you are a full license holder, if you are a trainee driving instructor, if you are even a fully qualified driving instructor, this could be the place you stop by and maybe learn something new or remind yourself of something you once knew or come up with thoughts and you think, oh, I'll do that in my lesson. Or even, I saw this thing, I can do it better. And that's all right, because I don't have all the answers and I don't get it right 100% of the time. What I guess I do know is what works, what's worked for me, and what people have told me when I've used a tactic or a technique or a visual aid or something. They're going, oh, yeah, that's really helpful. So that's what I'm hoping. If one person gets a bit of, oh, yeah, from that, I'd be delighted. So in your driving test, then, there will be 21 questions from which you will be asked to, and they're called show and tell me questions. Hopefully, if you're learning with someone, they'd have told you about these or at least pointed you to where you can look them up. So you get 7 show me questions, and the question, the way it's phrased, will be when it's safe, show me how, and then they'd say something. So I'm going to do a separate video on that, and I'll do it on my car. And the idea would be that maybe my people I'm working with will go, oh my God, I can study this when we're between lessons. I can study it and then go look at it on mum and dad's car or something. So that's the idea behind that. So I'll do that separately. So there's 7 show me. You're doing something on the move. You're pushing some sort of a dial or a button or making something in the car work while driving at the wheel and not losing focus. That's the gist of it. That leaves 14 tell me questions. A question where you have to just give an answer as to what you would do. And the examiner would phrase the question starting with, tell me how, and then here comes the question. So there's 14 of them. 2 of them are tyre related. So I thought I'd do them and try and bring them to life. But in reality, in test day, you only have to say the words to the answer. You need to give the answer close, but it doesn't have to be word for word. So one of these questions could be, tell me how you would check your tyres had sufficient pressure. And the answer you could give, and it sounds something like, well, what I would do is when the tyres are cold, that's important. When the tyres are cold, I'd get a reliable tyre pressure gauge, something like this. It doesn't have to be exactly this, but they're kind of the same. It's got one end that goes on where the air goes in and out. It's got some sort of a power button, and it's got a dial in the middle that gives you a number. So when the tyres are cold, using a reliable tyre pressure gauge, I would remove the dust cap or the valve cap. And whenever you're doing this for reals, take the cap off and then put it somewhere, like in your pocket or somewhere, because they blow under the car or and you lose them. And you just get a headache because the valve could get knocked and the tyre could go down. So using a reliable tyre pressure gauge, I would test the tyre pressures. So to get most of these to work, you press some sort of little button, the lights up, you hold it on the valve and try and hold it steady. And if you get it a bit wonky, all the air will come out. You'll know because it won't stop making that sound. So you hold it steady on the, you get a number, you go, oh yeah, look at that, there's a number. So I don't expect you to see that, but the number is in the dial. You would then compare it to the driver's handbook, the book that came with your car, and it usually lives in the glove box. Or in most cars, you look either on the front door passenger or the front door driver, and inside the door well, as it's called, there'll be some sort of little sticker with a picture of a car and tyres and stuff. And it would say what the number was for your car. So using a reliable tyre pressure gauge, when the tyres were cold, I'd take off the cap, put it on, I'd get a reading, I'd compare it to the driver's handbook, I'd compare it to the sticker in the car. Yeah, you could even Google the answer, I suppose, as long as it's the right wheel for your car. And then I would pump the tyre up if it was too low, or I'd let the tyre down if it was too much. How often are you going to do that then? Once a week and before a long journey. And then how many wheels will you check? And you might say, all of my 4 wheels on the road and the spare if I have one. So that's kind of the answer that they want. So that's your tyre pressure one. And then your other question would be, how would you check your tyres for their general roadworthiness and condition? So this is talking about the tyre itself, the tyre itself. Now I've got a spare here, and it's come out of one of my old cars. It's something called a space-saving spare wheel. So it's a really skinny little wheel. It looks like a bit like a pram wheel. So skinny. And for everyday cars, that's fine. You can use those if you have a puncture or a flat or whatever. But in a driving school car, you very rarely will see these being used because it's too skinny. And so you can't bring it on a car on a driving test. So we tend not to do it. So we might buy a full-size spare wheel. So whether it's this or a full-size, the answer is the same. How would you check your tyres for the general roadworthiness and condition? You'd say, I'll check that there was no cuts, bulges, lumps, tears, chunks, rips. You can use any word like that. Something that says that there shouldn't be lumps or bumps or pieces missing. So I checked that the tyre had no cuts, bulges, tears, blisters, rips, tears, whatever. And then I would use a reliable tyre depth gauge, and I would check the depth. Now, a depth gauge nearly always looks a bit like this. I'll get a bit closer because this is really small to see. It looks like the end of a screwdriver, and you can buy them in all sorts of shapes. I like the ones that come with little colours. I'll try and show you. It's got a red bit, a green bit, and a yellow bit, and they're handy for the depth bit. So I checked there was no cuts, tears, bulges, whatever. I'd place the gauge onto the tyre and I'd press down and I'd get a reading, and the number might say 5, 6, 7, and then it needs to be a minimum of 1.6 millimeters deep. So that's this bit in the middle, the tread bit in the middle, across the central 3/4, which is the bit where all the grooves are, the channel bits, and all the way around the tyre, or you could say around the entire circumference of the tyre, that it should be a minimum of 1.6. You test it here, maybe there, maybe over here, and it would be a minimum of 1.6. So they are your 2 show and tell me questions for tyres. Now, I've brought them to life by doing them, but you only have to give the answer. If you found that helpful, then let me know, and I will share the other videos too, which could be the in the car ones, the show me questions, or the outside the car ones, under the bonnet ones, and tell me questions. So hope that's helpful, and if we're working together, I will see you the next time you're in the car.